Welcome to Below the Line, where we talk about working in Hollywood from the crew perspective. My name is Skid. I'm a former assistant director and your host.
Quiet on the set.
This is the final episode of our Oscars series, and just in time with the Academy Awards ceremony this coming weekend. It's been 12 episodes of Oscar goodness, with panels of film industry professionals discussing the nominees in their category of expertise, and I hope you've enjoyed their insights. Today, we're wrapping it up with Makeup and Hairstyling, and I'm happy to welcome back returning guests. Angela Nogaro, you've been a film industry makeup artist for more than 30 years, and your credits include Griselda, Alias, and Why Women Kill. Welcome back.
Nice to see you, Skid.
Nice to have you here. Yvonne Depatis-Kupka, you've been an industry hairstylist for also more than 30 years, and your credits include The Grinch, Planet of the Apes, and Barbie, and you're currently working on the second season of Fallout. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, Skid.
Glad you both are here. Regular listeners, you know that we've been pausing each episode on account of the LA wildfires, and we're doing so again today. Although the fires are contained, rebuilding what was lost is going to be a challenge for years to come. To all of our industry colleagues and everyone affected, we see you. Okay, let's discuss some movies. The 2024 nominees for Makeup and Hairstyling are A Different Man, Emilia Pérez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. We're going to discuss them in that order, and spoilers are possible, so consider this a warning. Last note, I'm going to recognize the nominated teams by name, but apologies in advance if I mangle them. Ladies, please correct me if I mispronounce the names of your colleagues. Let's hop right in. First up, A Different Man, and the nominated team is Mike Marino, David Presto, and Crystal Jurado. What do you guys think?
I think Mike Marino is a brilliant makeup artist. I wasn't in love with the movie, A Different Man, and I thought that his makeup on the Penguin far exceeds what happened on this movie. There were, and I don't know if it was based on the lighting, but and it always depends on where you view a film, but there were points that I felt that I could see that it was prosthetics due to the coloring and the lighting. And I think he's brilliant. And I only saw that happening on the lead character, on Sebastian Stan, not on the other guy who is the other one that has the same disease.
Because he has a real disease.
Oh, is that true? Is he?
Yeah.
He was cast real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
That's why, it was kind of an interesting thing. First of all, the makeup and hair, I'm not crazy about some of the hair work because I could tell. But I would say the layman or regular people don't notice the minutia that we do when we see a film. So if a wig, especially on a man, is lifting or weird at the neckline, it's going to take away my eye from the rest of the work. It's like a gnat buzzing around my face every time there's something going on where it distracts from the story and from the seamless, things that I like to see when I'm actually watching a film. We're here to talk about makeup and hair, and the hair, the makeup work was pretty phenomenal because when you look at the two, they're really close. And the one actor, not the lead actor, he has the disease. So he's acting, that is his face. Yeah. And so I thought they did an amazing job at taking care of Sebastian. Like I say, the hair bothered me until he went back to being the cutie Sebastian because it was lifting in the neckline. But that's could be nitpicking to some people, and that's not what I want to do because the work was kind of really amazing. When I look at these things, I also am looking at the overall amount of work that we know they have to do. So that means the sculpture, the whole thing, the getting it to, fit his face properly. Some of it, to me, to tell this story where he was he went and had this pill or treatment, whatever, and it healed his face, which we all know is total bullshit. But what are you going to do? Uh, you know, it almost was gratuitous that he had to like pull the skin off and do, it was good work, but why are we doing that? So, anyway, that's just my feelings about A Different Man. I thought overall that everybody did an amazing job, but you know, Oscar contentions, it's kind of like, okay, let me see some of these other movies and see how I feel about that work that went into that. So,
It wouldn't have been my choice if I was casting the vote.
Now, this is going to be an AD question, but I've been saving it for you guys. So in this movie, as you mentioned, the Oswald character played by Adam Pearson, he has this skin condition, these growths on his face in real life. Obviously, he's still getting makeup, but it's not a full prosthetic setup. With Sebastian Stan, there's the beginning where he has the prosthetics. And then when he does take that magic pill that returns his look to more, a more traditional look, then there's a mask that he wears, like for when he's in the play. And so I'm curious to what degree the makeup folks would be very involved in creating the mask. Like what roles were played on that? Because that seemed like a very interesting challenge.
I'm sure makeup sculpted that to work
That's it.
closely with props. Props, they're pretty amazing and they do a lot of things, but I think to coordinate that, I would be interested to know actually, but my feeling would be that makeup was very involved with props to duplicate that mask so that he could wear it. And it was pretty good, the mask.
It was the same sculpture. It had to be.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that that's just the role that since the makeup artists were sculpting it, they just let them carry on through with it.
Yeah.
With stuff like that, our departments don't separate.
Yeah.
They will allow us to do something and bleed it over. It's the same thing when props need a lipstick that they have to apply on an actress. They always come to us to get the lipsticks.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? It's the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We always work close. That's why the collaboration is so wide and wacky in a film where we're actually working with props and we're working with wardrobe, and it's a universal, cohesive thing so that it all comes out looking the way that it's supposed to look. So that's part of what I love is the collaboration with everybody, and it brings it all together in a cohesive way.
And I will say, I feel bad if what I'm seeing on this movie was seen by the people that are actually voting, and it's the fault of a different department who didn't necessarily know how to light prosthetics, because that is very much a thing in our world. And this man, who I think is incredibly gifted, doesn't get his Academy Award because when it came to handing his baby off into somebody else's hands, it was intended to with care.
I could see that being a challenge. And again, we always love to emphasize the collaborative aspects of it when it works and it doesn't work in this space.
Yeah.
Well, the second film on our list is Emilia Pérez. The nominated team is Julia Flock Carbonell, Emmanuel Hamvier, and John Christophe Spadicini. That one's on me. All right. What did you guys think of Emilia Pérez?
In seeing the movie, I wasn't very impressed with the makeup. I liked the movie. I didn't think the makeup was great. Then I saw an Instagram reel where they showed in really good lighting the application of the makeup. And it looked far better, once again with lighting, than I felt in the actual movie. And it was the same makeup. I mean, this was done in the trailer, one of those time-lapse things. And I also personally, given the other movies that it's up against, don't feel like that's the transformation that the Academy would be looking for, personally. I mean, it's good storytelling. It helps tell the story, but I don't think it's just not a very big piece. My 2 cents.
Aha! Emilia Perez. Uh, it took me a few minutes to get into it. I I liked it when I first saw it as an overall piece. I liked it. And I was like, wow, this is interesting and unique. But then when we start weighing in on, you know, countries of origin and people that are taking artistic, liberties with other people's cultures, um, and of course, it wasn't even done here. So I have mixed feelings about it. As far as makeup and hair, I've already seen enough blood and gore. And the transition was, I actually did like the makeup when the actress was playing the male part. I thought it was kind of like interesting. And I had no idea really what the movie was about at that point. And I was looking at this person who was supposedly a guy, and I thought it was kind of interesting. But again, for Oscar contention on makeup and hair, it's kind of like, how do I say, there's not enough that constitutes this big faldaldera about the makeup and hair for that movie, because there's really one character. The rest is kind of blood and gore, and you know the rest was okay, but not extravagantly fabulous where I would sit there and go, wow, there was so much put into this. Like with different man, there was a lot put into it to make that character come to life and then go back to being himself. So um yeah, I don't have too much more to say about Emilia Perez. And plus they have all their political stuff around this actress and all the other stuff. And I'm like, I'm just looking at makeup and hair. And it was an interesting movie, but it's also like, how many cartel murders do I need to see in a lifetime? And also, it was okay. It wasn't like extravagantly fabulous to me, as some have been in the past, like Benjamin Button or whatever, where you go, whoa, that's crazy. Aging backwards in time, too. So,
My opinion about all of this is also that I think that the Academy in voting is so afraid of backlash
uh huh.
if they do not recognize um, any other culture that it pushes the envelope because nobody wants to do Oscars so white again. Everybody is afraid of that. So people are going to go, well, we have to vote for that because this is brown people, which to me is the reason that that movie ended up with 13 nominations. And I liked that movie. I thought it was really well done. I don't think it deserved 13 nominations. I thought it was a really interesting twist on something, but I really do feel like people are afraid of the backlash. So they're just going along with the program.
Yes, and the machine knows exactly how to sell it.
Correct.
Well, we're going to move on to the third film on our list. That is Nosferatu. The nominated team is David White, Tracy Loader, and Suzanne Stokes Munton.
If I could have seen it better, I would have had way more opinions. Yes, the period work was um, but the darkness of the film detracts and takes away from all of the work that went into the film. So I really can't say how phenomenal everything was, because the darkness of the film distracted from being able to see the work. And that included makeup too. I mean, and I know that there was a lot of work that went into making it, which I always take into consideration when watching films. It's like, oh my God, they had hundreds of people, or they had to do this, or this is all wig work, or this is all spectacular, just spot on work. But if you can't see it, then you can't like really hone in on that. And that again has to do with us all working together. And one group, the director and the DP and all of that, they may love the look of it. Dracula was not a dark movie. It was a dark movie and it had a lot of craziness, but the lighting was like, oh my God, you could see everything. And so, I think that from my point of view as a hairdresser and working with makeup as a team, when a movie is that dark, you go, oh gosh, well, okay, there's nothing I can do. I just have to continue to do beautiful work. And if anybody gets to see it, great. And if they, we'll get them the next one. So I'm not sure that it's going to get the vote quite so.
It's a growing trend, which I'm noticing, to not be able to see movies or to hear them. They like to do the mix so loud with the music that voices are always in the background. And I know that has nothing to do with age because I have perfect vision and perfect hearing.
Yeah, me too.
But the way that movies are being mixed these days and the way that they're being shot, everybody thinks that there's an edge to it, but they're not realizing that an audience wants to see the movie. Nosferatu, out of all of my choices, would have gotten my vote because I thought the work was impeccable. And even though it took until the last scene to truly get a view of everything that was going on, I thought that the work was magnificent. Though I do question the mustache. I think that that was really an interesting choice that Dracula had a mustache. But I didn't hate it. I mean, has anybody ever seen another Dracula movie where he's had a mustache?
No.
I mean, like a full-on 70s porn stash. But I thought it was interesting. Again, given my 5 choices, that to me stood out as the most complete work across the board.
I think every year it comes up as a recurring theme that it's hard to compare some of this prosthetic work in these movies with, the hair and makeup work that needs to be done. It seems to me this be a case where the Nosferatu work, that the prosthetics that Bill Skarsgård is going under, that might be one of these cases where that's a signature piece and people are going to vote based on that. Agree or disagree on this film?
Agree, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, he's completely unrecognizable. So, that's a lot of work to go and completely change somebody visually so that they get lost in there. But again, it's back to like there should be like separations somehow, because if you pile them all together and you've got a contemporary film with weird body prosthetics and then you've got a period piece, they're completely different genres and the work is different. Contemporary hair is so completely different than period work, and there's so much more involved in making it happen and make it true. But again, we still don't even have a hair category. So how would they possibly want to get into getting a few categories for Oscar movies? It's got to be the number one overall. And that's a hard one to do because overall, even all 5 of them don't encompass, because they're in different genres. They're in different kind of visual things.
Okay, the 4th film on our list is The Substance. The nominated team is Pierre-Olivier Persin, Stephanie Guillon, and Marilyn Scarcelli.
Okay, I hated this film. So
does it make it hard to watch too if you're really not enjoying it?
I thought that, all right, so we've all seen this film. I thought that the first major makeup effect when this creature comes out of her back looked terrible. I thought it looked like a piece of foam cut in half, painted red. Then to the next step, I was thoroughly impressed with this aging that they started doing on Demi Moore. I thought that was fabulous. And then once we jumped the shark and it became absurd, I was so emotionally out of the movie because of the absurdity of it. I couldn't tell you if I thought that was good. I mean, or not, because it just didn't work in telling a movie and making a movie to me. So that's where I left with that.
And for me, again, the way that movies are sold and pushed, and people are gently pushed into and this is about women, and this is about aging in Hollywood, and these are all trigger points that get people excited about. It was okay. It was a little gory. It was not that exciting to me. I didn't really care about either one of them, actually. But also, from a hair standpoint, it's like it was what it was. It's not anything that is like, I mean, in Wicked and Substance and all you really had to do a lot. So, and that's not to say that the hair department didn't do a great job and do their thing, but it didn't do anything for me, actually. And I already know how bad it is for women in Hollywood and in the world. So I don't need to sit and watch a creature out of her back that's 20 years old and, adds more to the whole thing. Plus, well, I probably should just leave it at that because I'll tell you later.
My feeling was still, and I said this before we started recording, was that it's the same exact movie as A Different Man, just with a different catalyst. And both of them are telling the story of to what extreme would you go?
Right. To be beautiful
To be
or
beautiful or to
attractive.
change your life or whatever. Yes. And I mean, not for nothing, I thought that both of them had very dismal outcomes.
Very.
You know,
There was no happy ending in either movie.
oh, yeah.
Well, there's no ending at all in our fifth and final film. That's Wicked. The nominated team is Frances Hannon, Laura Blunt, and Sarah Newth. Given that this is part one, it's called Wicked, but of course, we know we're talking about part one.
Right. We're talking about the first part of work they did. Okay. First of all, I'm a diehard Wizard of Oz fan. And I like the play Wicked. And there's just no way that this movie was not going to be a huge success. Artistically, it's beautiful. Let's face it, there was a lot of work put into this movie. I call bullshit when they say everything was done in real time and there's no CGI, because there is CGI in the movie. I'm sorry, there is. Okay. As far as makeup and hair work, they did a phenomenal job. There's a lot of work that went into the movie for these, mostly the lead characters. The dance numbers, all of that stuff, the makeup, the hair on all of those dancers, that's a lot of work coming from somebody that actually has to do work in the thing. I was impressed by the hair work quite a bit and the wig work. But of course, somebody said, "Oh, it's so much bigger than the play." I'm like, of course it's bigger than the play. How many sound stages did they have? It's like, yeah, the Grinch movie was way different than looking at the cartoon version also, but you just can't do a comparison to anything. So the work was great and all of that. But again, we've got all these special effects things going on in the other films and period work, and then we've got a fantasy. So it gets confusing when it's time to like look at the makeup and hair and who's like the greatest of all time for last year. And again, the machine pushed this movie before it even came out. It was like last year, the Barbie thing. I said, if I see one more pink thing, I'm going to throw up. And if I see one more green or pink thing this year, it's how they sell and make it go. And they'll make a lot of money again on the second one when it comes out next year. But is it the all-time greatest work in the whole universe? I think they did an amazing job. And I don't want to ever take away from what the makeup and hair departments have to do. But we're talking about this genre of mixing these. Here's this fantasy with all this wig work and everything and dance numbers. And then you've got Emilia Pérez and you've got Different Man and you've got Substance. And it's all kind of like all over the place. So for me, I liked it. I was thoroughly enjoyed seeing it with my son and his girlfriend, and I enjoyed the couple hours that I was there, and it was colorful. And my most favorite thing, which has nothing to do with makeup and hair, was the dance number that they did in the library. That whole circular thing, because as an old dancer too, I know how hard that was to get that right. So
Yvonne, you gave me a chance to plug the podcast. Go back last season, we did interview Chris, the choreographer, with Myron, the editor, at the same time, and talked about how that scene came together and such. So, Wicked fans, if you're catching this and you haven't heard that episode, go check it out.
amazing.
Angela, how'd the movie strike you?
Well, my friend just won the award for best cameraman because he shot it. He was the A camera operator on it.
Wow.
And there was very little CG. I liked it very much. I thought that the makeup people did a brilliant job of using this green makeup
Oh yeah.
to actually make her beautiful. The highlights, the shadows, I think everything was magnificent. She was consistent in every scene. I don't know if I think that given the other makeups that they're up against, if everyone or anyone will notice all of those subtle nuances compared to all of the really big makeups.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sin because unfortunately that stuff just gets lost in the translation, when you're up against movies where there's, full body prosthetics.
Yeah.
But I thought it was beautiful. I thought that they made her fabulous. And there was so much variation. There was so many subtle highlights and shadows and everything in her green that I thought it was really beautifully done.
And to not duplicate or try and manifest the original Wizard of Oz or even the play. It was uniquely, they did their own thing and brought it to life, which was really great.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of work in her face.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Yes. And her ear covers. Yeah.
Her hands were contoured also.
Yeah. That was it was beautiful work, but look, the people that vote are makeup artists, and they very well might turn around and see all the subtleties, and that might push them in that direction. I just think that knowing a lot of the people that get to vote, they're gonna
prosthetic.
Their eyes are gonna go to the bigger makeups.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which then goes back to that what I've been talking about with you for a few years, how there's not even a hair category and there's not a separation between these unique, different deals all put together in the same category. And
if we can't get a hair category, we're never going to get separate categories. That ain't gonna happen. That's what's gonna be. That's what our guild awards are gonna be for.
Yeah, that's right. That's what's good about the guild awards is that hair can win by itself and makeup can win by themselves, depending on the work.
Right. And the Emmys. Unfortunately that's TV, but and has separate categories also.
Yeah.
But it's a sin because it's such a complete picture. It shouldn't be all lumped together. But this is a drum we've been beating for a long time. Hey, finally the hairdressers are getting paid the same amount that we are. Rock on. It only took 40 years. Yeah.
Oh, really? That did finally, because we've talked about that on this show before.
That happened last year.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know why?
I would never work on a show my whole career if it wasn't Favored Nations. But they could, screw over other people who didn't have the same skill set or mindset as, say, Angela or I do. I'm not going to do a show, even with a friend, and make $6 less an hour for the work that I'm doing. And I have worked on projects like that. And I'm like, are you kidding? And I've gone to the department head and saying, what happened to Favored Nations? Oh, well, I fought for you. No, this is like, so it's a big deal on paper that they agreed to that. So it's nice.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And it also does come up each year about how the awards can't really capture the competition or all of the work that's being done. It's easy to be jaded about it. That being said, I do like talking about these films with you guys. You guys are always making me see things that I don't see on my own. Are there any additional 2024 films that caught your eye on account of the makeup and or hairstyling?
I haven't seen a lot, so I don't even really know what's been circulating. I did go out of my way to watch these 5 so we could have this discussion.
I'm glad you did the homework, Angela.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we have to watch them to come here. I mean, I had Emilia Pérez for like 3 months before I even said, oh, let me see what they're selling this year. I didn't see it on the big screen. I did see Wicked on the big screen, which I think every movie should really be seen on the big screen, no matter how cool it is to be able to lay in my bed and watch a movie in my own bedroom. It's cool, but I try and I thoroughly enjoy going to see movies on the big screen still. That's the whole thing. 30 feet high, you bet. You can really see the work there. And I'll tell you, one of the movies that also I was resistant to go see because I get into this place where it's like, oh my God, he's cute. Okay, he's everybody's darling. He's done everything. Timothy Chalamet. Yeah. And I went and saw A Complete Unknown, and it was really remarkable film. I loved how they shot it. It looked grainy like the 60s. The work was pretty good. I have a few feelings about the hair because Dylan's hair, it was bastardized a little bit. But overall, Ariane Phillips, her costume designs were remarkable. She's brilliant. I just love her. And the way they shot it was really good. And if Edward Norton had stayed quiet at the Q&A at the Oscars thing over at the Academy, it would have been better because he was so good as Pete Seeger in the movie. I literally was like, wow, he got it, So that's a movie I really enjoyed, A Complete Unknown.
I haven't seen it. It's on my list.
Yeah. And I was resistant to see that for a little while because I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. And I thought, oh my God. And you know what? Chalamet did a really good job.
He's a talented young man. Yeah.
He's a talented dude. But I do get tired of the machine just shoving everybody into my face for me to like. I like to find out myself how I feel about things as opposed to what our, machines do to get us to like things. Our algorithms, if you will.
You also know that at this point in time, they're so afraid of not using a name, not doing a franchise, not.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the other reason that I liked Emilia Pérez. It was so anti everything that we've been getting shoved down our throats. You know what I mean? Like another franchise, another Marvel,
another Spider-Man series, another this, and it was totally different than that. Yeah.
You guys don't think we're going to get Emilia Pérez 2, more Perezin? You don't think there's going to be a sequel to that?
Not after all those tweets. No. Netflix has distanced themselves from her as far as they could.
All right. Well,
really fast.
Fans of the movie will have to be satisfied with what we've got. All right, you guys.
That is the end of Emilia. She did die. That's a spoiler.
True that.
She did die. Her children may do something, but.
All right. On that note, we'll call it a wrap. Thanks so much for being here. Always a lot of fun with you guys.
Oh, thanks.
Such a pleasure.
What a pleasure. Good to see both of you.
You also.
Put a pin in it. We'll do it again next year.
All right. God willing.
And thank you, listeners, for sticking with us. If you missed any of our Oscar episodes but still need some help making picks for your Oscar pool, you've still got a few days before the ceremony. And beyond that, I'm planning to launch a new season of the podcast, our 23rd, on March 9th. Subscribe now if you haven't already so you don't miss what's next. As always, I appreciate your feedback. You'll find my contact info on our website, belowtheline1word.biz. That's B-I-Z. Closing credits, thanks to Curtis Five for our music and John Wan for our logo. The logo is available on t-shirts, mugs, and stickers at redbubble.com. To all of our listeners, I appreciate you. Please rate us wherever you get your podcasts and tell your friends. Thanks again, from Below the Line. You guys just did your awards, right? I don't know who won. Wasn't that last
The
night?
Guild Awards were last night.
So do you guys want to say something about that? And you want to say it here while we're talking about it, or maybe at the end when we talk about things that didn't get nominated, or not at all? That's up to you guys. But anyway, it just reminded me.
I have no idea. I have no idea who won. What was even? I didn't go. I wasn't.
Wicked. Here's who won. Wicked.
For
Palm Royale. Wicked for. I could look at it. I just looked at everything this morning. Last Showgirl won for Best Contemporary Hair. You know,
in the categories that we're in the category that we're talking about, the Academy, like who any of the movies? Oh, Substance one you said.
Substance
and Wicked. Yeah. Oh, and to your point earlier, ironically, the Penguin won for TV. It says for, so probably
right. And Palm Royale won for makeup, but not hair. So you know.
Okay. All right, we won't do that here. That'll be on the floor. So